start streaming, learn to code, learn to code. We're learning to code, and now I am going to share my entire screen. Got this little presentation set up. ReRank Everything is the name of our app, and we love it. Um, it is a Google Chrome extension that that makes it so that you can go onto your feed. Get that out of there. Go onto your feed and basically re-rank the choices that the YouTube algorithm makes for you, right? So, what are we going to look at today? Today, we're going to look at merging a collaborator's work on GitHub. Um, we're going to look at how YouTube actually works, and then also, um, we're going to do kind of a live demo of what we've built this week, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really fun. Trust me. What did we build so far? Um, are there any features that you remember building last night, Tasia? You can take the floor right now. This is our stand up.
Yeah, so um, it was very fun going through YouTube's like they just like doing the classic hacking of inspect element and then looking through the page of source code. Um, because it turns out that it has so many different ways of showing you the same page, depending on what device you get it from. So all of my work was around making sure that it was able to pick up the the thumbnail, the to create the title of the video, and then the username from like a variety of different pages, and then like be able to edit it back. That was all I got done, but I also had to do some because web pages lie to you, right? Like when you load, when you scroll down, like they're sending to you things in real time, and that leads to wonky refresh behavior. So I had to do like some finagling there of like, let's save a maximum of 25 videos. Let's not refresh if you want to. Like, we can turn off refreshing and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot going on with YouTube. Specifically, YouTube's homepage is kind of like this gross DOM situation. Like for what we were trying to do, build this like re-ranking algorithm. Um, the DOM was not kind for that. And when I say DOM, document object model, we're working with an extension, right? We're building this appendage to YouTube. So the progress that we made, I think, is worth celebrating, right? And I was looking through the branch that Tasia was working on, and I merged some of it in a branch that I'm working on now that I have not pushed live yet because it is still very buggy. But I've added templates. I wanted modes for this re-rank everything extension, right? So you could have the extension off, right? That's a mode in and of itself. Then there's a growth template, which is like personal development, creativity. So I was getting like a lot of content that was kind of like artists that were talking about their art practice, or I was getting content that it was working. It was showing me personal development videos. Then there's a music template, which you'd think would work well on YouTube because YouTube has like its own YouTube music thing, but that it almost like was omitting more music than bringing up on my feed. So kind of off. There's a news template, a tech template, and then a custom template that the user could fill in their own keywords. I wanted score badges visible on every thumbnail, which I feel like was I got caught in this weird um, sort of rabbit hole of trying to code that. A lot of exclamation point important CSS selectors and overriding. Just making gross design choices that I feel like kind of screwed up the branch that I was working on. Um, and then I wanted more loading indicators. I was getting a little bit of like a jitter from the extension overriding YouTube, and then SPA navigation detection. Right? What is SPA? Right? SPA is single page application. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, SPA stands for single page application. Right? So when we have a website like YouTube, there's a lot of this what's referred to as SPA navigation. It doesn't do full page reloads, right? So when you're clicking around it, it's swapping out the content dynamically. That's really hard to code for or against, especially when you're dynamically using JavaScript. So that's why we need sort of the special navigation detection with an extension that we're trying to re-rank everything with. And then also the whole like clickbait detection stuff just through titles is difficult. So I wanted to figure out like an algorithm that first of all, image analysis would be so tight, but I don't even know how we would start doing something like that. I mean, I could take a few stabs at how we would do something like that. But uh, yeah, I wanted to like get deeper inferences from maybe you take the top comments from a video. You could take ranking, ratio of subscribers to views, sort of things to like kind of like push out bot kind of like botted or like vanity metric videos within YouTube. Because even with the robust bot detection systems that YouTube has, you get a lot of slop videos. And I also wanted to just omit like the paid sponsorship videos. There's sometimes users won't like self identify that it was a paid sponsorship ad, but most of the time you see like a little thing in the corner that's like, oh, this user was like this YouTube channel was sent like a free XYZ to basically review it those are just like not useful videos, right? So that's like definitely something we wanted to account for. So on today's agenda, for our last day with ReRank everything as a class, but that doesn't mean you can't go off and fork it and make your own branches on it. It's public. If you fork it, I will invite you to be a collaborator on it. There's this weird new like GitHub permissions logic that prevents me from just having a public repo without inviting collaborators. So if you fork it, you could work on it on your own, like on your own repo, or I'll set you up as a collaborator, and you can make a branch on the main repo. So what am I even talking about now? Git forks and branches and diffs and merging, right? We're getting into the weeds with some Git logic, right? But Git diffs and merging, these are important to understand when we're working on teams. It's how we combine a collaborator's work with our own. It's how we bring up Tasia's branch into the main branch of our repo. It's super important for working as a team, and it's simpler than you think it is, and, and also way more complex than you think it is. it can be two things. There's double-edged swords to all of this. We're as above so below with the GitHub. So what's a diff? What's a git diff? Um, a git diff is the output that Git gives you, showing what changed between two files, right? So two versions of a file, right? Two versions of the same file, and it's line by line. You have red lines that show which lines were removed, and green lines which show which lines were added. White lines are unchanged, or like the gray lines are unchanged in the context. But you can see where the change happened, right? So there's a couple different ways to find these. One of them is if you're in GitHub, you can look at the specific branch, and it'll show you these sort of additions and removals, the git diffs. You could also run console commands to make this. Oh wait, where did I do that? You can run a console command. So let's. The console command would be git diff, and then you choose the branches. So main, and then I'll go fix VG color because that's a easy diff. And it shows us there. It removed the line that had, I think it was a light pink color, and it added in a line that had a light blue color to it, right? Super simple, but really important, and it's a really easy thing to get tripped up by. When we're working and collaborating on projects, like you have to start thinking in terms of the git diff, or what is being changed, what's being subtracted, what's being added. This will also, like, git diffs will also show on a personal project between branches, like I think people get caught up in this idea that like version control is all about collaborating as a team on a project, when version control is actually just version control, and you can use it to help organize your code bases. Like, it's nice to know what changes in the code. And guess what? If you start like vibe coding super hard, you're vibe coding, you're using Claude, you're using Cursor, you're using Copilot, you're using ChatGPT or whatever to write your code. These git diffs can be super helpful because maybe you accidentally push a app breaking change. Now you can go in and see what exact lines were the culprits, right? So git diff, wonderful, we love it. So the at markers, we got people in the chat. 1 second. Git diff seems simple, but it's actually an MP hard problem. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. NP. Yeah, we're going into, yeah, like logic. Yeah, they can get very very hard. Git diff in terminal is really useful. Yes, git diff in terminal is better. I mean, that's the way that I look at git diffs. It's also opened up here, since this was like a simple git diff. There's only one line that's really the git diff. But if I run it against Tasia's branch, Tasia changed, I think, it was a content.js file that was maybe around 300 lines. Tasia added about 600 lines to that, right? So what this will then open up is the git diff, and then you can kind of explore that by line. How do you know where to look? There's a bunch of different flags that you can add to those git diffs. Do I know them off the top of my head? No. I just don't. Those are like I don't memorize all the git diff flags, but look up like git diff flags or even like ask ChatGPT or Claude. Like if I was trying to find a specific line, what flag would I use in the git diff? So you could type a line number here and it'll take you to the line number of the file. But that might be a little bit confusing, and I don't want to overload you with too much of this stuff. So um, basically, when you're running a git diff, you're asking, what did the collaborator change? Um, you can read the diff and then figure that out. The branch that Tasia was working on added a bunch of things, right? We had DOM extraction, better CSS selectors, video titles. It made the app work. It made the extension work, right? So after you run a git diff, kind of, measure twice, cut once sort of thing, uh, you want to merge that, right? So a merge is how we combine work from different branches into one, right? Um, and the branch, right, if we're is the separate copy of the code base where that collaborator was making changes without affecting the main branch, right? Think of it like for the beginners out there, it's like a Google Doc, right? Somebody makes a copy, edits it, and then you would combine the work on that copy later with the main, right? So what's merging, right? Merging is combining those changes from one branch into another. Git will read both versions and figure out how to stitch them together. You could flag it to stitch them together in a specific way. There's the key concept here, not to get too confusing and to belabor the merge too much. I mean, this is a very important concept, right? Two people are working on separate files. An easy merge, right, is that when Git just takes both sets of changes, the same lines in the same file, um, and if there's a conflict and Git can't decide what version to keep, it asks you, right? So there's going to be conflicts in any code, in any merge. I mean, usually there are conflicts, right? And so the head is your current code. And then that equal sign, the equal, that's just a separator, divider between the two versions, right? And then we have the branch name from the other code, Tasia's DOM extraction reorder code. That's the incoming code from the branch that you're merging in, right? So you could pick which version you take or combine both of them. You delete these marker lines, save the file, git add that file, git commit. And so I'm not going to do a live demo of this right now because I already checked out Tasia's branch and merged it to some degree of difficulty. But it's if there's a conflict, essentially, you can resolve it. Like Git gives you the means to resolve it. Head is your current code, and then the branch name is their code, right? So you could also have there's a what is the so if you git log one line graph, this is if there's conflicts, right? This prints like a visual tree of commits, so you can see the branch and the merge points, right? you see there's Agent A, Agent B, Agent C. These are Claude making changes, right? And then you have Tasia, you have the fixed background color branch, right? So why is it important that Git makes you deal with conflicts instead of just picking one version automatically? This is a discussion for the class, right? Why is it important that Git makes you deal with conflicts? Think about it for a second. It's pretty, I mean, basic question. Oh, we got Tasia in the YouTube now. Yes. Ooh, I love that answer. A little bit of uh, meta philosophy. So that it's not AI making business decisions for sure, right? So your code doesn't interfere with each other because the meaning of code is not obvious from the code itself. That is a good answer. I love that answer. Because the meaning of code is not obvious from the code itself, right? There's nothing in your code that says this is the right code, this is the code I want, right? You are like at the end of the day, whoever is running the merge, whether it's your higher up or you when you're accepting another person's another branch's pull request, you're the one that knows what the purpose of your code is. Nowhere in your project, in your Git repo, in your GitHub repo, is it like signaling to Git itself what it wants, right? Git is not like, while there may be like some like forms of like AI quote unquote baked into it, it's not aware of what the project is. It's aware of what the syntax is. It's aware of what code you're using to write the thing, but it doesn't know that we're trying to build a YouTube re-ranking extension, right? It just doesn't know that, and it doesn't know. If there could be a merge conflict that tightens the weighting on like a specific keyword pair, right? Git doesn't know that you're trying to make a re-ranking app that when you click like that you want a apolitical feed, that it takes out everything that's named that has like the terms like Trump or Epstein in it, which would be like useful right now, right? Like if you're just trying to use YouTube without being inundated with the worst things humans have ever done. So these are things to think about, right? Merge conflicts. So Tasia put in this pull request, right, for the DOM extraction reorder branch, and they enhanced DOM extraction, video reordering, beautiful work. We've been kind of like investigating the kind of ins and outs of YouTube and YouTube's limitations with sort of how they provide context for your feed, right? But how does YouTube actually work, right? And this is like kind of like our discussion code philo moment for the day, right? Like, how does YouTube actually work? What is it doing, right? Like what a user uploads a video and blah 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 blah, something happens. There's like a factory somewhere, a server farm somewhere holding these videos. We don't know, but we're about to know. Do y'all remember the first time you used YouTube? Yes? No? Does anyone remember the first time they used YouTube? Do you remember the video that you watched? I know the first time I used YouTube because it was something that I was waiting for so long as a kid, growing up in the late '90s, early 2000s. Um, Video sucked. Video on the internet sucked until YouTube came out. Animations were great, right? Flash animation, Newgrounds, E-Bombs World. Like animations were booming pre YouTube. But the first time I used YouTube was 2000. I want to say, yeah, it was 2005. Um, it was at my eighth grade graduation party, and somebody told me that you can use YouTube to look up any music video that ever existed. And I was like, no way. And so we looked up, we watched Feel Good Inc. by the Gorillas on YouTube. That was the first video I ever watched on YouTube. And it loaded, and it didn't take, forever to load. Looking back, it probably took like a minute or two to load, and that was quick in 2005 for a video. But I remember being like, this changes everything. And lo and behold, it did change everything. YouTube made content creation a thing. Like before, the amount of like editing suites, the amount of technical know-how you needed to have in order to format your video correctly and upload it onto the internet is like, and this is coming from somebody who, like, I was, as a kid, I always wanted to like animate stuff. I always wanted to get my animations onto like Newgrounds or like E-Bombs World. I know I just like said that earlier, but uh getting your video on the internet, not through like a third party publisher, was near impossible. Distributing your video on the internet in 2003, 2004 without a third party publisher was near impossible, right? And people forget this, right? Or people just don't know. They assume that we've always had access to content distribution tools, right? YouTube changed the game. But what happens on YouTube when you actually upload a video, right? So when a creator uploads a video, it's not just file goes to server, right? The servers ingest the raw file and they start transcoding that file. This means converting the video, right, into a lot of different formats, right? Every video that goes into YouTube becomes like more than 30 different files. And you may have seen this transcoding work on your computer if you're familiar with like video editing or encoding. When you like output a MP4 file from Premiere and you render it as an MP4 file, watch the hidden files that start to store in where that output goes. It'll make like 20 different files, but those all turn into that final MP4, right? On YouTube, the transcoding is still black box, right? So we're guessing like 30 plus formats. And that's because YouTube needs different combinations of your video. It needs 144p resolution. It needs 240, 360, 480, 720, 1080, 1440, 4K, whatever the user wants at the end of the day, right? And the compression algorithm that's used on YouTube, it's H.264, right? So it's older, but that works everywhere. We're not like beholden to Macromedia Flash anymore. Like we're done with it, right? And then Google has their own black box compression, VP9, AV1. It needs newer hardware to decode, but there's so much hidden stuff that's happening to your videos when you post them there. Even right now on my stream, somebody's talking about Foamy the squirrel. That was the first video you watched on YouTube. There was a squirrel video. It's called Gonads and Strife. Look it up. That's another great old YouTube video. Chocolate Rain. There's a couple of them. So bitrate is how like so we have the resolution coming through. The codec is what we were just talking about. The bitrate is how much data is coming through per second. The higher equals better quality for bandwidth. You know, we're getting into the weeds with some of the video stuff, but a single 10-minute 4K video could be more than 2 gigs worth of transcoded variants, right? That's stored on Google's YouTube servers, right? And then that goes to a content delivery network, a CDN, right? So this is a network of servers that are spread around the world, and those will cache copies of the more popular content on YouTube. Are content that's like regionally more close to users, or like even like semantically more close to, not semantically but like vibes wise more close to users. So when you watch a video in in New York, you're not streaming from a data center in Oklahoma, right? When I watch a video from LA, I'm not streaming from a data center in Sweden, right? I'm streaming from a data center probably in LA or the Bay Area or Portland or Ashland, Oregon or something. So why do you think YouTube needs so many versions of the same video? It's a question to think about as a class. Why do you think YouTube needs so many versions of the same video? And we think and we think and we think. Why do you think YouTube needs so many versions of the same video? The answer is kind of simple and not super fun. But yeah, it's because people have different internet and devices. So someone on a phone with 3G needs to be able to access the same video that somebody on a 4K TV with fiber is watching sometimes, right? These are totally different files, but it could be the same video, right? So the scale of all of this is just insane. It's crazy, right? 500 plus hours of video uploaded every minute. 1 billion plus hours watched every day. There's 38 data centers, 38 data centers just for Google and YouTube's global network, right? So that's what we're using with YouTube. 100 plus edge cache locations. And what is 1 to 3 exabytes of storage. 31.5 billion is their ad revenue as of 2023. We're getting those 2024 and 2025 numbers, but Claude pulled these for me. So actually, no, Claude didn't pull that for me. I pulled it from something else. I forget what 2024 was. We'll get 2025 numbers on YouTube's tax birthday. So 1 billion hours watched every day. YouTube is people are watching more YouTube than Netflix, Disney Plus, every other streaming service you can think of combined. People are watching YouTube, right? And these data centers, right? They're the massive warehouse style buildings with the servers in them, right? Exabytes is an insane word. It's 1 billion gigabytes. So YouTube's storing 2 to 6 million times the amount of storage that you have on your machine, right? 2 to 6 million times, right? 31.5 billion in ad revenue, and that's just their cut, right? So that's not gross ad spend or anything else. So how much of the 31.5 billion do you think creators on YouTube see? This is what surprised me. $5. This is why we're building a YouTube extension, actually, um, because out of all the gross social media platforms, YouTube, like we would assume, oh, they're like screwing over their viewers or whatever, or their creators. Out of that 31.5 billion ad revenue, um, the creators see about 55% of it, right? So creators are being distributed their rightful ad revenue, right? YouTube is where you actually make money. Yes, Astro. Great point. So when we build a re-ranking algorithm for YouTube, one of the ethical like sort of thoughts that we have is that you have to like contend with when you build any sort of like algorithmic ranking system is who are you taking money away from and who are you giving money to. It's just, and it sounds gross, right? But it's something that you have to think of when you're building ranking algorithms, especially when it's creator content that you're ranking, and that is what YouTube is, right? So the data centers, we can't talk about YouTube without talking about the data centers, the data center of it all, right? So data center is a group of racks, right? Metal shelves holding a bunch of servers, right? And then the GPUs are CPUs, solid states that are actually doing the work. A TPU is a tensor processing unit, right? This is kind of Google black box custom design chips that are built to run the sort of machine learning logic that they use for stuff like their recommendation algorithm. So most companies get their GPUs from NVIDIA. So when we're looking at like data centers, most American companies, most companies at this point, they're getting their GPUs from NVIDIA. They're buying them from NVIDIA. But Google builds their own, and this is important, right? Because there's thousands of these tensor processing units per data center, right? So they're creating a market for their own proprietary black box technology through themselves. It's weird, right? That's of the gross income and not accounting for cost, and it might be more generous than expected. Like even discounting the hardware, you need a lot of staff to run YouTube. Well, we used to, right? So that's actually just ad revenue that we were talking about with that number. So um, take with it what you want. We're coming from a place of anti-capitalism at all times, but we're also streaming live on YouTube. So make sure you like and subscribe this video. Follow for more content. I don't I don't know. I don't know what I can say and I can't say on YouTube. I'm trying to be chill here. So the cooling, this is what a lot of people talk about with the AI water costs, right? Servers generate heat, right? Data centers use more water for cooling than small cities. We've heard the things, we've heard the arguments, right? Yeah, smash that like button. A PUE is power usage effectiveness. This is a ratio that measures efficiency. A PUE of 1.1 means for every 1 watt of computing power, an additional zero point 0.1 watts goes to keeping the building cool, the servers cool, right? So Google's claiming that approximately 1.1 PUE is industry leading, but the absolute numbers that Google's putting off are enormous, right? There's so much energy on these data centers. You could so this is something to think about when we're working with extensions to these like giant data center applications, right? Maybe you're somebody who you're the polymath who has environmental knowledge and you love to code, right? These are solutions that you should be thinking about, especially as we go into sort of this future of like dystopian data centers, using more energy than more water than small cities, right? More energy than small countries, right? So Google for networking, they actually own an undersea fiber optic cable that connect continents, right? They're like solving their own issues at every turn right here. And that's because Google has the money to do that, right? They have the money for the data centers. They have the money for an underground aquatic water cable. So when your video requests leaves your browser, it's entering Google's backbone network that's separate from the public internet. Now we're like completely privatized. We're routing to the nearest edge cache. And Google doesn't rely on your Spectrum, Comcast, AT&T core network. It's relying on its own networks, right? Its own cables. That's insane. Um, and then redundancy. This kind of the theory of redundancy. So every piece of data is stored across multiple data centers, right? Yeah, I bet one of those cables costs less than RAM nowadays. A little joke: RAM's super expensive. If you have a nice computer in your house, that is now the most expensive piece of property you own. Take care of it, okay? But on the note of redundancy, if an entire data center goes offline, your videos will still play from another copy elsewhere because they have so many of these data centers. This happened in France in 2021. An entire data center burned down. So Google's architecture backing YouTube means that like when those data centers are under threat from fire, earthquake, power failure, they just click to another data center, another one of the approximately 38. And so, like, what do you think this means for not only us as coders, but just the world? That one company owns all these cables, the chips, the infrastructure, the data centers, and the algorithm that decides what you're watching. Just to, and you can answer, you can mic up, you can answer in the chats.
Um, who or what could possibly try and be a competitor to this?
Yeah. Yeah. We can if we work together. No, I don't know. It's like what like we can't and then yeah, a little bit of hope core. I don't know. Tasia in the YouTube chat, we can't really regulate Google. Like, what machines are we regulating? Even Google doesn't know everything about their own hardware. Somebody, Anima Ascendo, abolish corporation. Um, yeah, it's yeah. Are we like is that the tip that we're on right now? Seize control, XD. I don't know. You know, it's a good thing to think about. It's a good thing to think about. Insofar as your alignment as a coder, right? What does it mean that one company owns all this stuff, all the infrastructure, right? For me, the not so much the meaning behind this, but what it does is it invokes a sense of purpose and meaning from my role as a coder to create sovereign and independent infrastructures, right? Um, And whether that is working on extensions or appendages to these like gigantic, odious applications, or it's working on your own platform, solving solutions for some of the runoff problems from these gigantic oligopolist applications, right? It should bring you a great sense of like passion and pride to work on whatever the antithesis to this sort of like infrastructural monopoly is, right? So that brings us to the recommendation engine. New problems need new solutions. I totally agree, Astra. The pipeline, right? This is kind of what's happening, right? You have your watch history, and then that goes into a neural network, a black box neural network that has billions of parameters of like AI that's trained. They're all working together. Then there is some sort of candidate generation, and then a ranking that scores those videos, picks a final order, and distributes them to your feed. This is what we were guessing at, right? Because a lot of this technology is what's referred to as black box technology. Will YouTube release exactly how their algorithm works? Probably never, right? We won't get the YouTube monolith. We will not get the Google monolith. There was somebody who like kind of did it with Twitter. I think it was like a designer that was like working on Twitter. It wasn't even like a leak. It's like they like put out the Twitter algorithm. Somebody put out the TikTok algorithm, but these algorithms change, right? And also like, can we trust the corporations to actually like transparently share their algorithms? No. And then at the point where you have all this infrastructure set up to protect your secret sauce, like why would, you know, this is why our extension exists, right? We want to put the priorities of the end user above the profit motive of Google, which is insatiable, right? So YouTube's algorithm is consistently optimizing for watch time and ad click-through rate, right? So that's not really quality. It's not quality educational videos. It's not about your well-being. It's not about the clicks. So they moved away from that sort of like just click optimization years ago, because the clickbait got so bad that people were just like, what is happening with YouTube? But the watch time means that you're staying longer, you're watching more ads if you don't have a YouTube premium account. More ad impressions is more revenue from them. So literally what we're designing to override. Their algorithm scores the videos that are predicted by your predicted watch time, right? And then our extension scores videos by a set of rules that you're setting, right? So it's also important to think about how you use YouTube, right? We're going beyond sort of the coding of it all, and like, how do you use these social media platforms? Are you like somebody who is just diving into the deep end of brain rot every day, or do you use them for education? Do you use them for inspiration? Do you use it to throw on like a nice instrumental track while you're coding? Do you use it to thread the needle on some sort of issue you've been having with whatever program you're using, tutorial for Blender or Unity or VS Code or Python or whatever? Like, can we redeem Google if we as the people own it, or is it too far gone? When do we start over again, or keep the behemoth going and reform it? I don't think it's redeemable. I think that this goes beyond just like conspiracy theory. The powers that be are actively trying to sow tribalism in people to like hate each other. They're like distinctly anti-globalist in a way that's like not even from a perspective of capital. It's from a perspective of just being utter fascists and wanting more money than thousands of years of generational wealth would even necessitate. um, and that's a joke, YouTube. I'm not really serious about that. Y'all are doing great, and you always have human interest in mind. We love you. Come on. Why would I be saying stuff like that on a YouTube live, right? Um, so who's paying for all of this, right? It's advertisers, right? They pay Google to show the ads. Google takes 45% of the ad revenue. Creators get 55%. Viewers pay with their attention. The free service is funded by selling your eyeballs, your attention, your compute to advertisers, right? Your attention is your compute resource as a human, right? Your attention is your compute. You're giving up your ability to go and focus on another project and build something that's actually infrastructural and chill and sovereign and independent and promotes the agency of humanity to watch Selena Gomez sell you her new line of cookies or whatever is the advertisement that we're getting on YouTube, right? YouTube's moat is its infrastructure. No startup out there is going to be able to build 38 data centers and undersea cables and attract billions of daily users, billions of hours of consumed content a day, right? The infrastructural cost is the monopoly, right? Way to go, Google. You did it. You ended humanity. That's why there's no real YouTube competitor out there. It's not because somebody's tried, but because the upfront cost is billions of billions of billions of dollars. So, why build anything anymore? Why are we coding at all, right? We're building on their platform. We're using their DOM. We're using their HTML structure. They can change their page layout anytime and just bury our little extension, break all of our CSS selectors. We don't have any leverage in this, right? Why? Because you know, like we want to make the world a better place, right? And we have some advantages in all this, right? Browser extensions don't need an API key. We're not going to get rate limited on our own DOMs, right? It's running on our users' machines. They control it. It helps teach us about how to code. It can't be revoked by the platform policy change, right? You know, they're not going to be able to remotely disable something that our users locally install on their machines. It might get taken out of the Google add-on store, but we're not publishing it there anyways. It's on a GitHub repo, right? So the extension in and of itself, when we're building extensions, when we're building these appendage applications, it's a form of self-defense, right? It's a form of building something that is not beholden to the corporate behemoths, but is still accessing their infrastructure in a way, right? And the numbers, you know, they speak for themselves. The economics of everything is gross, and if you do think of yourself as a big fish in all of this, just, I don't know. We take donations. It's like there's no way that you could possibly ever compete with what's happening. Yeah, little decentralized information libraries are cool too. Kiwix. Cool. So what did we build even? Let's pop it open, and don't judge my YouTube viewingness. YouTube. Bop 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 bop. All right, I'm gonna open this YouTube. Look, there I am. Cool. So you can see the extensions kind of jittering, right? Um, we have re-rank everything up here. Taking back your feed. We can watch videos about growth. We can watch videos about music, news, tech. And then there's custom keywords that we can set. But it's a little bit busted, right? Like, I don't want to see all this stuff about these gross ass people. Like Hassan, I'll take it, but like I think the shorts is the content is kind of not there. So if you go to the repo, there we have a GitHub repo. Where did I open that? So we want to go to the ReRank GitHub. So you go to the repo, you can clone the repo. If you want, I can invite you as a collaborator on the repo. The main branch isn't protected. If you want, you could just nuke the entire repo. That's on you. You know, great job. You ruined it, right? Actually, we're gonna fix that right now. Anyways, I'll fix that at some point. Don't whatever. You can do it if you want. It's okay. So the re-rank repo, you clone it on your computer. Go to Chrome extensions. Once that's cloned, uh, I'm gonna remove this, and I will load the unpacked extension here, and then I will give this page a refresh. It's gonna load in as an extension. I'm gonna pin it up here, and right now it's enabled, but the feed isn't doing anything. We'll set it to growth. Now it should show things that match this template: music, news, tech, custom. That's the idea, but again, it's not working. Uh, we can block things like YouTube Shorts, the Explore feed, but I am working on a weird version of it. And so the extension's running right now here. And if I open my console, Control Shift I, or right click and select inspect, or F12, you'll see what's actually happening through the content.js, right? So it's calling the DOM, it's scraped 25 video cards, it's skipping some dupes, boosting some, penalizing others, right? So this console log will help you when you're kind of like building re-rank everything on your own, right? Pull it open up your inspector. So the extension's running here. Uh, I really want this like template situation to work. It didn't look like it was working with that live demo. So, but the idea is off mode. All the re-ranking is going to be disabled. Tech mode, showing you tutorials. Growth mode, kind of like personal development, educational, history videos. You can set these. So YouTube decides the order for you kind of based on what keeps you watching the longest. When we decide on what we actually want to see, the order is the algorithm, right? It's not about what videos exist, it's about which ones are shown first. So the ability to set your own templates for the algorithm, right? I wanted score badges to come up, but that badge system wasn't really working. What this is working through is chrome.storage.local, which is a key value store. It's a tiny database that's stored on your browser. It's built into Chrome. So extensions can read that, extensions can write to it. This is stuff you can look in to on content.js within the actual file. The content script's going to detect the changes. You can then click what was hidden, and that will show the hidden list. Uh, so yeah, when we open the hood here, I'm just going to go here because we are over time with the class. So I kind of want to just wrap this up for you. There's 4 functions right now that Tasia helped write. I broke and then rewrote some of them in this current branch. It's going to find every video card element on the page, this great video data, through the CSS selectors that we picked. What we found was YTD-rich-item renderer is YouTube's custom HTML tag for each video card, right? Tasia, it is so hard to modify YouTube's DOM. Yes, and that's what we're learning. It's hard to modify any social platform's DOM. They don't want you to do this, right? They really don't. And that's why you should do it. Filter cards checks each of the video against the block rules that we've set up. Keywords that should hide a video, runs clickbait detection, checks for all caps titles, excessive punctuation. We would love some sort of image analysis in this. That would be tight. And then there's ReRank that's going to score each video using the boost rules. And penalty rules, which it subtracts points from, adds up all these scores. That's how we're ranking stuff, is they have like this like internal scoring system. And then reorder the videos. This is the hardest function, right? It takes the sorted array, physically moves the DOM nodes, appends the children to that. We're not creating new elements. We have to take every existing element and then reorder them. I don't know how to do this. If you figure out how to do this, if you're somebody that's more technical that's watching this, or you're somebody who wants to dive in and get Claude to do it, really focus on this like 4th step of the pipeline, the rendering, the redistribution of the videos on the page. Super difficult. I do not know. Right? So the extension itself is triggered by 3 things, right? We have what's referred to as a mutation observer. So this is the actual browser's API that the browser provides, right? It watches part of this SPA page, single page application, fires back a callback function whenever the DOM changes. There's a lot of like weird timing stuff that we have to wait for. If we load all of these functions in the wrong order at the wrong time, we're missing like sort of like infinite scroll or like weird videos that may take longer to show up, right? This lazy loading that YouTube uses is annoying as hell, and I don't. It's one of the hardest lazy load algos that I've ever had to crack. The observer is going to detect new cards. SPA navigation events are something else that we're triggering, or we're checking the trigger for, right? Single page application. YouTube fires these custom events, YT navigate finish, YT page data updated when you click between pages, right? So the single page of it all, YouTube doesn't do any traditional page loads. I feel like I'm like going manic on everyone right now because this is like what I've been looking at for yesterday and this morning. It swaps content with the JavaScript. So we listen for these events, and then we need to know when to scrape, when to re-scrape. Oh, even window resizes can trigger it. Yes, because window sizes, when you're watching videos, matter. So there's a lot of weird stuff happening on YouTube that makes this both a prime candidate for the sort of application that we're building and a very, very, very difficult project build, right? Settings change, right? So this is another trigger that we're looking for. So when you change the mode or the keywords in a pop-up on our extension, we get this chrome.storage.onchanged event that will fire and then trigger a full reprocess. Did I get that to work? No, because it was hard, and I'm sorry. Maybe you can get it to work. All right, so the tech stack. We're using the Chrome extension. This is Manifest v3. A lot of vanilla JS. Look at the content.js file. Chrome storage, local storage. We talked about local storage maybe 2 classes ago with or 2 weeks ago. We built this like CRUD fish tank thing. Local storage. The pop-up is going to write settings to your local storage. The content script reads them. It's going to persist across browser restarts, but not devices, right? Um, Again, this is an extension. We're working from your browser. It like if you have the same Chrome account on like your phone and your computer, it might be persistent in that, but I don't quote me on that. Maybe we could figure out a way to do that. It's different from local storage, the Chrome storage, because it's accessible from any part of the extension. That's the pop up, the content script, the background worker, right? And then DOM manipulation. This is this mutation observer pattern that I glazed over. Core techniques for extensions that modify third-party pages. You can't control when YouTube adds new content to the page. You're not going to be able to ever do that, right? So what do you do? You set up this mutation observer that watches for changes and reacts. So this is how we handle their lazy loading, their infinite scroll. YouTube's going to load more than 20 videos. The observer is going to fire, and then the pipeline processes each batch as it comes in. Gross. So sorry. What did we learn? What did we learn? This is our last day of rank everything, but I'm probably going to be twiddling away on it for the rest of the week. We learned a lot this week working on this program, right? We gained some technical skills, right? This is JavaScript, this is functions, this is arrays, this is DOM APIs, this is Chrome extension API, storage messaging, content scripts, service workers, again, DOM manipulation, the query selector, the mutation observer, appending childs, Git. Oh, so much about Git. GitHub, branches, commits, diffs, merges, PRs. Pull requests, right? This is a way that you propose changes and get code review before merging. You want an example of a great PR? Look at Tasia's PR on the repo that we set up. CSS injection, something else. Adding our own styles to a page that we don't own. Here's a bigger picture, right? Thinking about data center infrastructure, what's running behind your screen, right? Platform economics, who's profiting? What is the moat, right? Recommendation algorithms. Are we optimizing for engagement, watch time, user well-being? Trick question. The latter is never what they're optimizing for, right? We talked about Section 230 in one of our classes. That's a U.S. law that all of these tech oligarchs are trying to repeal for some reason. You might think it's a good idea to repeal it because it gives the user more freedom, but guess what? It is a surefire way to find ourselves locked in to only using state regime media for social platforms. So look into the repeal of Section 230 and how that affects specifically American internet users. In 4 days, homies, we went from 0 to a somewhat working browser extension, right? That modifies one of the biggest platforms on the internet. And that's huge, right? So what do we do now? Fork the frickin' repo, right? And what is forking? It's making your own copy on GitHub that you control. You can change anything without affecting the original. Add new modes, break things, move fast, break things. This is definitely the sandbox to do it in this project, right? Change selectors, add features, see what happens when YouTube updates their layout, right? Fix it, share it. Install it on a friend's browser. Explain what it does, why it matters. Use it as your own educational sandbox. You don't need permission to modify the software that you use. The fact that you can and now know how changes your relationship with every single platform you'll ever use. Once the data's on your DOM, it's your data. It's public data, right? And so here's the four functions that make up ReRank everything. It was really fun working on this one. I'm definitely going to be tinkering on it throughout the end of the week. Something else to think about. We are going to be working on another project build next week. So if you want to get suggestions for what that group project should be, we're going to use the same rank choice voting here. Uh, and let's just make it right now. Week of February, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th group project. Suggestions will close the night of the 15th. That is that is Sunday night. And then the poll will close February 16th in the morning right before class. So, and you can add suggestions for this. So there are no bad ideas, you know? There are no bad ideas. The way that we chose this re-rank everything application was 9 people voted and it was ranked choice and it was what went to the top. So make sure you vote. You can add suggestions right now because there's nothing in there. I still want to build my mobile OBS tool for streaming on the go. Uh, we'll see if that gets built. But yeah. So yeah, add suggestions. It could be so for those of you just joining today, for the first time, this is the Multiverse Schools Learn to Code class, right? We're doing 2 tracks every week, right? So those tracks are, one is going to be a group project that we work on together. The second track is you should have a personal project that you're working on. You should have a personal application you're working on. Feel free to share, you know, triumphs and tribulations in your coding journey while working on that personal project. What we learn while working on the group project should empower you working on your personal project. So again, think about a group project that you want the team to work on for next week and use this link to add it there. Work on ReRank. We're going to be actually deploying a functioning version of this hopefully Sunday night or Monday morning. And if we don't get it to fully working, that's just how it works. Sometimes you jam on an app for a couple days and it doesn't work. Uh, but yeah, these are all good places to learn to code. Is working on group projects helps kind of thread the needle on what we're learning, right? Um, and if you have like a personal project that you don't really know how to start it and you feel comfortable sharing that personal project as the group project that we go to work on next week, um, you'll have uh, you know countless sets of eyes on your project to help you out with it and a week jam to get that project up and running. So the sky's the limit with these things. And Yeah, it's been really fun working on re-rank everything. I want to shout out Tasia for coming up with that suggestion and putting work in on their branch. And yeah, super excited to see what we come up with for next week and super stoked to see where re-rank everything goes. If anyone has any questions, or is having like trouble getting things working on their computer, let me know in the chat or you can mic up. I'm going to stop streaming right now. So for you in YouTube land, uh, code something today, will you? Just do it. Just code something. All right. Thanks for